But whoa, whoa, whoa,
Will come swiftly.
man. But whoa, whoa, whoa,
Will come quickly.
yes. They use and abuse women. They raise no children. They live a life of wicked thoughts, corruption, embarrassment, and shame. So in order to maintain power against the very forces of nature, they need to have the citizens living in fear. Man, but be not afraid, for fear is your enemy. A man afraid to speak of what oppresses him, enslave himself to a man just like him. But be not afraid, for will come suddenly. Rising, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so do the evil works of evil men bound to soon to come to an end. I sing, but mine, I sing. Godly men who don't care that the devil takes over their kingdom, they would kneel if they feel that they could cross a deal. But whoa, whoa, whoa,
Will come swiftly.
man, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Will come quickly.
yeah. Now workers who want to please their employers and their bosses by victimizing their neighbor because today their party is in power. I see, but they know what they do is wrong, and it's weighing their conscience down because all men know that no man knows the hour. Man, but be not afraid, for fear is your enemy. A man afraid to speak of what oppresses him, enslave himself to a man just like him. But be not afraid, for will come suddenly. I see, just as the longest road comes to a bend, so do the evil works of evil men bound to soon to come to an end. I sing, bye. I sing. In life and in the Bible, they have seen the fall of men of evil. They never learn, they believe they are in the next level. But whoa, whoa,
Will come swiftly.
man, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Will come quickly.
yes, but the days are numbered, all the deeds are known. Their hate, their division, the anger, the poverty they have sown. But it's coming to harvest day, when the oppressed will have their say, when all those who hurt my people will have to pay. Man, but be not afraid, for fear is your enemy. A man afraid to speak of what oppresses him, enslave himself to a man just like him. But be not afraid,
Good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be taking you up until just before the 10 o'clock hour. Be not afraid, huh? Yes, indeed. Folks, yes, just remember to hit the like and share button. Hit the like and share button. I see you all coming in under the YouTube. I see the YouTube starting to look nice there. Nice, as well as the Facebook. Remember to hit the like button, huh?
They say the youths of today, they're crazy. They say the youths of today, they must be mad.
Good night to you, Joyce, down there in Trinidad. Good night to all the listeners joining us via the Facebook. Good night to all the listeners joining us via the YouTube. Those of you listening via 91.9, 91.5 Real FM, broadcasting out of beautiful St. Patrick.
But though you make mistakes to put all the
Those of you listening via 92.9 out there on Sister Isle Radio in Carriacou.
my friend, hey, don't blame me
And of course, our good friends out there on 94.9 We Noise Radio in Brooklyn.
for all the wrong things.
Also, those of you listening online.
Don't blame me at all, put your blame on me. Hey, racial segregation, I made it, yeah. Political division.
Yes, we will be joined by a guest tonight. Our guest is the Honorable Emlyn Pear. She should be on with us from 8:30.
All your words I say right here, I made it right here. So don't blame me for all the wrong things in this world, my friend. Hey, don't blame me at all, put your blame on me. No way, don't blame me for all the
Yeah, we've got to speak a bit about youth tonight and some other areas, yeah?
all. Don't blame the youths at all.
So we will be joined by the Honorable Emlyn Pear roughly about 8. You know, sometimes we start a little earlier, you know?
In these trying times, the youths are challenged by so much doctrines and different culture. So they become confused, promiscuous and careless. They have no respect, discipline or moral.
Let me say a special good night to our regional listeners, those of you listening regionally.
Ever you seen the youth?
Inside and outside of the OECS, inside and outside of CARICOM.
This world, my friend.
Our South American listeners, yes, we do have folks that tune in from, I don't know who in Suriname listening, but they do tune in, yeah?
Things about this world, my friend. Hey, don't blame me at all. Put
North Carolina, good night to you. Buffalo, good night to you.
pollution,
Houston, Texas, good night to you.
deforestation.
California,
Yeah,
Florida,
Malik.
Maryland, Washington, D.C.
Yeah, the ozone destruction.
Of course, Brooklyn, good night to the Brooklyn squad, yeah.
For all the wrong things that is
Our good friends listening out there in Canada.
me at all
Ian,
on me. No,
Fat Man.
blame me for all the
Yeah, Lyndon, what's going on, bro?
friend. Hey, don't blame me at all. Don't blame the youths at all.
Officer Mary and your husband there in Brooklyn. Special good night to both of you. Can't remember his name. Is Martin, isn't it? Yeah. Special good night to you both.
They say the young ones living life on the fast lane, and the end result.
And Mr. Martin and Ms. V down there in the Grandans. A special good night to you down in your housing scheme. A special good night.
Develop.
And to the listeners just across the road, you know they have the radio on. So you say a special good night to them. Mommy George, good night to you.
Make mistakes, and that's the truth. But don't you make mistakes to put on the
Mommy George, I hear you don't always have to put on your radio to hear the program. You know, there's somebody close by that puts it on loud enough for everybody to hear.
Don't blame me at all, put your blame on me.
So we say a special good night to each and every one of you.
For all the wrong things in this world, my friend. Hey, don't blame me at all, put your blame on me. Hey, social division, I meet it, yeah. Political corruption, I meet it, yeah. Unjust justification, I meet it, yeah. the class between the rich and the poor man. I made it right, yeah, so don't blame me for all the wrong things of this world, my friend. Hey, don't blame me at all, don't put your blame on me.
So I'm just making sure I have everything in order.
For all the wrong things of this world, my friend. Hey, don't blame me at all.
Yes, folks. So before we, the Honorable Emlyn Pear comes on, I will open the phone lines. I will take your calls. I know many of you were trying to get in yesterday, and as soon as I say that, boy, what? Yeah, we have a caller online already. Hello, good night. Hello, good night.
Yeah, good night, Sheldon. How you doing?
Hey, I'm quite fine. How are you?
Yeah, you know who's speaking? I just hear your comments, Martin, and them name. My name is Miss Doreen.
That
They're on
is
the
it.
other side.
Miss Doreen.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a good night.
All right, my dear. You have a wonderful one. Well, let's see. I know my people. I know she's listening, you know. Yeah. Some of the young fellas, all you need to remember, you know, yeah, when all you go and all you get all yourself in trouble and all you get all you lock up, yeah, what does happen? Folks, as the elders, sometimes we have to have a conversation with them. We have to have a conversation with them. Nice, yeah.
People come out to fair, to have fun and to dance. You got last file and he said, shove down inside your pants, your intention plain. Somebody getting chopped again. Your girlfriend cute and she nice, skin the color spice. Instead of bringing she here to dance the night away, you looking for fight. To hell with your woman tonight. But if it's stupid you're playing while you're backside in prison, some man ending up with you, girl. Cause of your stupidity, she ain't deserve to be lonely. Some man ending up with you, girl. By man gone and man dead. Yeah, some man ending up with you, girl. And while you're backside in jail, they messing over bail. Some man ending up with you, girl.
So as I always say, you have to take multiple approaches to the issue of youth. And not just youth, you know, because I think we're always speaking about the youth, but there are elders that find themselves involved in wrongdoing as well. But we always speak about the youth because we are most concerned about the youth, but there are elders as well. And I always say there has to be more than one approach to these issues. It cannot just be approach of a beat and arrest squad. That cannot be the total solution to this particular issue. Yes, you need a special squad to deal with individuals who are out there that refuse to think and just believe that they should go in an area and start chopping, or go in an area and start shooting or pelting or whatever it is. You must have a squad that is able, tough enough to deal with that sort of thing. But outside of that, you have to try and arrest the problem before it gets to that stage. Before you end up with somebody with a cutlass in their hand swinging. Before somebody thinks that it's necessary to go and find a gun and come with a gun and start to fire shot behind people. While they don't even care if it's a little sister of theirs there. They don't know if they might be their own little daughter that's around and they didn't know that their daughter would be around at that point in time. Or their little son, or whoever it is, or their grandmother could be passing. They don't know. But they're not going through that thought process in their head. The only thing is, I'm going for that man. Yeah? And they have so many influences now. Yeah? So many influences now. When I was much younger, young still. But when I was much younger, the influences were less. Yeah? For people like me, I was a nerd. So my entertainment would be to go and get some books and read. Or watch the one TV station that it had. Yeah, it was one TV. Them young people are asking, what are you talking about? One TV station? Yes, one TV station. When he on, you could watch TV. When he off, go and pick mango, go and look for plum, go and hunt manikou or some guy. Find something else to do. Yeah, go outside. Go outside. Right? That is what we had to do. But now, young people, They have loads of influences that are coming at them from all directions. Yeah? A simple mobile device. They have the world of information at their fingertips. And it's amazing, with the world of information at your fingertips, if you check the history, the browsing history of some of these young people, you realize that even with the world of information at their fingertips, that they are not properly utilizing it to improve themselves. There are courses that you can do on YouTube and so on that could teach you how to fix your computer. Nearly any type of computer and you have an issue, as long as you have a little inkling technically, it could talk you through how to sort out certain problems. Whether it's software, whether it's hardware. Yeah? Even with your vehicles, just to tell you how to do some basic things on your vehicle, I would still say go to the mechanic. Yeah, because sometimes what they're telling you there, go to the mechanic. But basic things, sometimes you can find out on YouTube how to sort that out. Even to fix different things around your home, to sort out different things. Or just to learn about history. Yeah? Even if it's a subject area as mathematics and there's a specific module in mathematics. You have all that opportunity. All of that information is available at your fingertips. Yeah? We didn't have that. We had to go and find the encyclopedia and read. And if it's not in the encyclopedia, then you have to try and find the section of the library and hope that somebody else didn't go with the book that you're looking for because it was only available to who get it first. So when you had to write a book report or so, or you had to write on a particular subject, and I used to do physics and chemistry and so on. So when there were specific areas that you were dealing with, you had to make sure that you get to the library first and you get the book. Yeah, outside of your textbook. Because your textbook might have a bit of it and you want to expand on that particular area, so you have to try and find the textbook first. It wasn't available to everybody online. So I'm saying that there's a lot of information out there, but are we guiding our young people in how to utilize that information, or are we just leaving them? You have a device and you have access to the internet, just play games. Yeah? Just listen to, what's the name again? Cayman 6 and them. Just listen to them. And then try to emulate them. Try to act and behave just like them. And walk around with you like you forget your belt at home. So your pants halfway down your thigh. And your boxers exposed. Your dirty boxers or torn boxers exposed. Even if it's clean, I don't want to see it. Yeah? But there's a style. So your pants halfway down your thigh. You barely could walk. Because who? You see somebody dressed like that online and that is the thing to dress like. Yeah? So these are the influences that our children, the young ones, are faced with. I know I'm a parent too. Mine, I ain't saying my children perfect. No, I face challenges with my children too. Yeah? So there are lots of challenges that are out there and lots of things that are trying to get the attention of your youth. There are people out there who look at your child and their intention is if they find mommy or daddy does have a $2 to get at that $2, but they can't come to mommy or daddy to get it. So they're trying to get it through your child. So they want your child to start smoking cigarette or start smoking weed. And then they think it's okay now, yeah, get the child to smoke marijuana or get them to smoke cigarette or so on. And that way, they're trying to access whatever money they believe mommy or daddy have. Yeah, we go. Yeah, boy, we go hook that man. We go get our money from them. And they do that without any compunction. They just don't care. So they're looking at your child. And that's why I tell parents, search your children's school bag. Your money spent for it. They're in your house. If the police raid and they find anything in it, you're responsible as well. Search their school bag. Search it in the night. Search it in the morning. Let them leave the house and call them back and search it. Search their... Some of you going to be very surprised, you know. Some of you listening now, if you go on your search in the morning, You might be very, very surprised at what the innocent little boy or innocent little girl that you have there have in the bag. You might be very, very, very surprised. Search the bag. Speak to them on every occasion that you have. Try your very best to speak to them. Yeah? Even if you think you're going up against a brick wall or going in one ear and coming out the other one, speak to them. Yeah? Because by the time it reaches to the stage of the, what I used to call them, the black squad, by the time it gets to the stage of the black squad that you have to have these police officers who are going to detain, who are going to arrest, yeah? Who are going to have to say, move from, come on, y'all can't be congregating here doing this thing. By the time it gets to that stage, it's already a problem, it's a stain on the record. So if you could shortcut it, if you can stop it from getting to that stage, and don't think that my son going this school or my daughter going this school and it do exist in this school and that school. The other day when I was speaking about the Cayman 6 and this 6 and 7 thing and the 6 and 7 gang and all this music and so on, and how it's affecting them. There were parents messaging me and saying, no, not my son, that not in that school and thing, man, other school. Wait, not that school? Sometimes some of the leaders in that school. Yeah? So check on your children. Search the bag. Search the bag. You might be very surprised what you find. And don't give it a cursory search. Search it like if you're a prison officer. Yeah? Give it a proper search. Sometimes you have to search them. If you don't trust, you find the behavior changing, something you're looking to right. Not just the bag, sometimes you have to search them too. Yeah, all in the geometry set pan, all in between the leaves of the books, search. You might be surprised what you find. All right? Let me see if I can get on the Honorable Emlyn Pear. She should be on with us shortly, but let me just make sure I get her online. So we're gonna, somebody asked me to take this one from the top again. So let me just wheel it.
Oh, na, na. Ooh. Oh, na, na. People come out to fair, to have fun and to dance.
Good night to you, Shemi.
And he said, shove down inside your
Alban Harris, good night to you, bro.
plane. Somebody getting chopped again. Your girlfriend cute and she nice.
Come on, man. Young folks that listening, right? I'm not talking about my little Zayla, Xavier, and Zoe, and so on. Good night to you all. Time for bed. Neela, Namara, time for bed. Deshaun, right? Time for bed. I'm speaking about the little elder ones that might be listening, and so you all really feel it's a nice thing to have to go up to the magistrate court and your mother and father or your mother, they bawling down the place with you with handcuff behind your back and they walking you down, and all the television station there with camera trying to get a video of you or trying to take pictures of you and different thing, and you have to hide in your face. You find that is a nice thing? You find that is something you really want for your mother or your father or your grandparents or your sister? That's what you really want for them? Yeah? To have them bawling. Oh gosh, my brother. Oh gosh, my son. Oh gosh, my grandson. You want them to be bawling and say, and shame now, television camera capturing. And remember, once they capture, it's there forever. Eh? Nothing disappears easily these days. It's online and it's online. Yeah? That's what you really want? But we're seeing the behaviors out there. And some of us think that the approach is just go and arrest and go and detain and go on. No, that's not the overall approach, the only approach. There has to be multiple approaches to issues like this. And that's why tonight, that's one of the things we'll be discussing tonight with the Honorable Emlyn Pear when she comes on. She's not on yet with us, but when she comes on. Yeah? Nice, yeah.
Yeah, some man ending up with you, girl. And while you're backside in jail, they messing over bail. Some man ending up with you, girl. And when a jail board or two start making sweet die for you, some man ending up with you, girl.
And stay there and feel them jail, but they go be making sweet eye for you in truth. Go up there, go find out.
Some man leave you.
Let me make the point here because I think a lot of people have been missing that point. We still live in Grenada. We live in the most beautiful country that exists. We live among the most peaceful people that exist. Our country is the most beautiful, is the most beautiful country on the face of this earth. We live in the most beautiful country. We all have a responsibility to maintain her beauty, to maintain the peace. That is why we continue to say that all of us have a responsibility. All right, so let me see if I am getting the Honorable Good. Let me make sure here. Good evening to you, Honorable Emlyn Pear. Let's just make sure I'm hearing you there. Hello. I wonder for what reason I'm not hearing you. And I'm not sure if the general public is hearing you. Let's try again. Hello, good evening. Boy, I am not sure what is going on there. Let me just take a short break here and see if I can fix that issue.
Any man trespass, the cemetery taking the ras. But if it's dirty shoe playing, while you're tailing the prison, some man ending up with your girl. While you're there meditating, where you getting Vaseline, some man ending up with your girl. Why one man lost?
Okay, let's try that again. Good evening. Hello? Hello? Boy, I'm not sure what's taking place.
What you should be out giving, you there inside getting. Some man ending up with you here. Tell you some man ending up, some man ending up, some man ending up with you here.
Let me see. Oh boy, yeah, I think that Honorable Pierre has gone off. Let me see if I can get her back on.
Yeah. Oh, na, na.
All right, so let's try it again. Honorable Pierre? Hello? Hello? So I am... Okay, you're hearing me, but I am not hearing you on this end. And I think... Let me see if this solves that problem. Go ahead and talk for me.
All right, you hearing me now?
Perfectly. Yes, we're hearing you perfectly now.
Okay.
And
great.
you're hearing me. All right. Yes. So good night to you, the Honorable Emlyn Pear. Let me just kill the music in the background. A special good night to you.
Special good night to you as well, Sheldon. And I want to say a special good night to all of your listeners, all of your viewers at home, in the diaspora, wherever you are. I just want to say it's a privilege. It's really a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to be on with you tonight. I was really hoping I would make it back home, but I had to stop on the way.
Oh, goodness.
With this year because I was coming from an activity in St. George's, and I definitely would not make it back home in time. So,
Well, we could argue the time, but then we'd have to take it back on the other end. But Honorable Emlyn Pear, how have things been going? How has the constituency been going? How are things with St. Andrew Southeast?
St. Andrew Southeast, I don't think we're an exception to what has been happening nationally across Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Our people are significantly affected by the increase in unemployment on the ground and the victimization that has been happening, that has become so very common. Our people are finding it very, very difficult to cope with some of the policies and some of the effects of the policies of the current administration. But what I do know about my people, the people of my constituency, is that they are very resilient. And, when our backs are against the wall, something comes out. And I think that's the Grenadian in us. And I just want to continue to encourage them. I do everything I can to offer hope, to encourage, to support in every possible way that I can. And I just want to say to all Grenadians at home, whatever you are going through, whatever you face, and the issues are real. The issues are real, and sometimes we brush aside and we coin it as politics, but there was a time when these issues were not referred to as politics. Bread and butter issues, those are the terms we would have used to describe certain things in the past. And I just want to say that it hurts me when I see my people hurting over certain issues and affected by certain issues. And I think I've earned the right as their parliamentary representative. They selected me, they elected me, and I've earned the right to speak on their behalf, to represent them, to defend them in these very trying times.
Yes, indeed. And as you said, it's something that's all around the country. We're seeing this particular issue happening, where people are having various problems that they have to face: unemployment. Some are facing problems. They can't even pay the utility bills. You see Nawasa heading around. You see Grenlec heading around. Some people tell me now they're afraid every time they see a Grenlec truck pass and they know they ain't pay. So every time they see a Grenlec truck, they heart skip a beat. They see an Nawasa truck coming, they heart skip a beat. It's very worrying to many of them. Yeah?
And you have that fear, but on top of that, you also have the fear as it relates to the crime situation in our country that has taken a turn for the worse. And it's so important that we encourage people, to look to that point of hope, and as a Christian myself, I can't abdicate that responsibility to encourage people that, the situation is bad, but there is hope. Once God is alive, there is hope, and we know He is. And so we have to continue to seek Him. We have to continue to make Him a center of our lives. But that by itself is not going to solve the situation. Faith without works is dead. And I say that all the time. So even if we know, as we normally would say, God is a Grenadian, we very, very known for saying that. But, He expects us to do certain things. And He expects us at the level of leadership of the country to do certain things. He expects us as individuals. We can't just sit back and pray and hope that we have a safe environment. It doesn't work that way. We ought to be doing specific things to ensure that our environment is safe.
Now, Honorable Emlyn Pear, I know that you have worked extensively with young people in Grenada. Prior to the 2003 general election, you were involved in the Ministry of Youth. I think you were Assistant Coordinator of Youth at that time. You used to have the program Youth Vibes, which I need to find some copies of somewhere. I don't know. I think I have a back door of how to get some. So we're going to organize. But the Youth Vibes program, after the Youth Vibes program, in 2003, you entered the Senate. You had specific responsibility for youth development. And even after Hurricane Ivan and all that. But remember, there was a time that we had a problem with Bloods and Ginger. And you had young fellas couldn't leave one area and go into another area. As the Minister of Youth at that point in time, what was the approach of the then, I think it was Department of Youth, it wasn't a ministry quite yet in the early days. What was the approach to the youth violence that was taking place at that time? Fellas were getting chopped up. I think one or two even got stabbed and killed. What was the approach of both the ministry and the government at that point in time?
I think this particular issue that you're raising and the reference you're making really points to leadership, and leadership at the highest level, leadership at the national level. And I always say this, when it comes to young people, when it comes to crime, when it comes to all of those issues that you're pointing to, we have to look at two approaches: the proactive approach and the responsive approach, the reactive approach. Now, at that time, we sat down and recognized that the issue in particular needed to have a multi-sectoral approach, right? And I have been calling and pleading that we take that same said approach in this current situation. So we took a multi-sectoral approach, which is to one, accept responsibility as a government for what was happening. You can't abdicate your responsibility. When you're leading, you take responsibility, you're accountable. So we accepted that this was a government responsibility. There are several debates, whether it's the church, the community, the homes. You don't have time in a crisis for debates like those. So the government accepted responsibility for the situation and decided to take a multi-sectoral approach, meaning pulling all of the major stakeholders together. So the churches, educational sector, tourism, you name it, the Royal Grenada Police Force. I remember at that time, the commissioner of police was Colonel Nestor Gilvey, and he played a very important role in leading that process, right? So the multi-sectoral approach then followed, where you brought together in a national consultation. And sometimes because of who recommends certain things, it is treated as trivial. When you bring people together to discuss the problem, it's not that they don't know that there is a problem. It's not that they probably don't have any new ideas, but just the coming together makes a difference. When we can come together beyond government to say, look, there is a problem, and collectively, let us unite ourselves to address it. So out of that, you had what was then called a national strategic policy on crime. And in that policy document, every sector had a responsibility. Every single sector had a responsibility, inclusive of the home, right? And coming from that, the Ministry of Youth would have also expanded its program to specifically target young people, particularly, and I want to mention particularly on the blocks. So I remember, and you shed a lot of information that obviously I'm sure your listeners would conclude that you were well a part of this process. So I remember leading the team to almost every block around this country. And that is why today I pass certain parts of the country and people still call me mom, right? That is why I can pick up the phone and call a person and say, what is going on there? I heard this and I heard that, right? Because you see, this thing, as it relates to engaging young people, is more than just a talk down, right? It has a lot to do with relationship with people. I don't know if you remember that, and I believe you were at that activity. I invited, I don't remember what it was called then, but very close to where I live, the Estuary Restaurant. I invited two groups of young men, and this was after I felt confident. After speaking to them separately, I felt comfortable that we could have brought them together now, because both groups of young people were saying, look, we don't really have a problem with them. We don't mind signing a peace treaty. We don't mind this and that. And so we brought them. Absolutely nothing was happening at that facility at the time. So we had the use of the entire upstairs. And I got to a point, I'll be very honest, where I got very nervous because the discussion started to take a different tone. And we were able to get these guys to leave there signing what they called a peace treaty, that coming from this activity, they were going to put the past behind and move forward. I want to mention people like Pastor King and others from the church community who are very involved in these activities as well. So we engaged, we pulled people together. We helped people to understand that this was a crisis situation, right? I remember a particular police officer, I wouldn't mention his name now, but the engagement on the blocks, at one point we had to call in the group of persons who were supporting us, helping us, and say, listen, these young men, they have their issues. Let's hear them out. Let's not take the aggressive approach. Let's treat them with a measure of understanding, right? And I am really happy to say, Sheldon, government plus stakeholders, it was amazing It was amazing, the result of this combined effort. And that we have been saying as an opposition. So when we come and we talk, this is not about politics. This is about people who understand the pain that people go through when they lose a son, the pain that people go through when they lose an arm, the pain that people go through when they can't go to another village in their community, right? Only a couple weeks ago, people from right there, Moncton Paraclete, would tell you that a bus was literally forced to stop. And people with weapons were literally searching on the bus for particular individuals. You ask these people how traumatized they were. As a matter of fact, some people describe it as being under curfew because some people could not leave their homes, right? And we are saying when you see those signs, right? And it is quite possible that those things can pop up at any time. It is not what pops up. What is most important is your response. What is most important is the leadership that is demonstrated. What is most important is the heart that you have for those who are involved and how you're going to treat with it. And I have to say this, Sheldon, I'm very dissatisfied. I'm very disappointed. As a matter of fact, I'm appalled at the current leadership as it relates to the issue of crime, violence, gun violence in particular, as it relates to young people and their engagement, involvement in those activities at this time. I could hardly find words, let me put it this way, to express my dissatisfaction with this current administration in their response. And mind you, as I said before, there are two approaches, and you cannot separate the two. You must have your proactive approach, and that must be ongoing, but you must also have a reactive approach because things are going to happen. And when they do, you must be able to respond in a timely manner. You must be able to respond in a particular way that is going to make the situation better. And I have to say, having looked on in the last couple of weeks at the role that this administration has been playing, even from a simple perspective of giving hope to this nation, even as it relates to reducing the fear that is out there, the concern, where are we, why are we here, where are we going? There are so many questions, but far more questions than we have answers. And I believe the silence of this administration, the current administration, is rather deafening. It's rather deafening, and it does not speak well as it relates to leadership. And I hope that this can be corrected very, very soon. While I'm on this, Sheldon, and I assume you will get to that subject, I want to take the opportunity tonight to really say my heart goes out to the family of Kathy and Ralph, the two US citizens who are still considered missing. And I want to be careful to say my heart goes out to the family. I know the pain they must be going through. And also to say to them, you know, while we really do feel, I mean, we can't feel the extent of the pain, but we are hurt as well. This is not Grenadian. This is not Grenadian. And if we have any person who is not Grenadian that's listening to your program tonight, I want to just say this is not a representation of who we are. And I really want to beg on behalf of the, I almost said the government and people, on behalf of the people of Grenada, I want to beg, do not allow that particular incident to define us in your minds. This is not who we are. Unfortunately, this has happened. And again, our hearts go out to you. And we really regret that this incident has happened and that your loved ones are still not accounted for. And on behalf of the people of Grenada, I can't find a better way to say this, just know that you are in our prayers, the family in our prayers, and we are trusting God that your loved ones will be found.
Yes, indeed, our commiserations with the family is very important because As of today, we still have not heard a single word from the government of Grenada. Just the Royal Grenada Police Force have spoken, but Minister of National Security, Information Department, again, you were the Minister of Information, not a word to the family of in fact, a letter I do have a letter from the sons of the two missing persons who are presumed to have died. I do have a letter that was sent out by them this evening to the press, and it's really, they're really hurting. These two guys are really, as you would expect, are really, really, really hurting. Now, we have a situation, Honorable Pear.
Just before you move off, I'm quite sure you're going to take a note of what you were going to say so you won't forget.
No, I won't forget.
You mentioned not having heard from the Prime Minister and the government. I have lost count of the number of days. Now, I think it's very instructive to note something. I don't know if you paid attention to a question that was asked of the Commissioner of Police. When last did you speak to the Prime Minister? Now, I could only go on what was asked and what was said, right? Go back and listen to this. It is very frightening. Now, if you're talking about national security and you have a Commissioner of Police, you have a Minister of National Security, protocol dictates that these two people ought to be in very close and frequent communication. And I can tell you the protocol that existed in the past because I had the opportunity to act as Prime Minister for just a few days. And I remember the Commissioner of Police then, Commissioner Martin. I got a call very, very early from him that morning. And he said it is practice that I call the Prime Minister every morning to brief him on the security situation in the country. He said the Prime Minister is out. I am still going to be calling him every morning, but I feel that I have an obligation to also call and to update you. Now, I could not understand the response of the Commissioner of Police, which made me conclude that it was about a week ago since his last conversation with the Prime Minister. I think if you listen over that interview, you would probably realize that this is very concerning, very concerning. Now, especially, and not just on a normal basis, I'm not talking about every day now, especially now where we have a crisis in the country, you're trying to remember when last you spoke to the Prime Minister, something is fundamentally wrong. Fundamentally wrong. And there's a saying, everything rises and falls on leadership, and this is so absolutely true. This situation actually confirms that response. To me, it confirms that we don't just have a security crisis, we have a leadership crisis in this country.
Yes, indeed. And folks, we're speaking with the Honorable Emlyn Pear, the Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Southeast, former Minister of Youth, former Minister of Information, former Minister of Education, and there were some other things under education that I was never be able to remember a few of them well, but former Minister. So, Honorable Emlyn Pear, one of the problems that I think that Grenada is facing right now, and you've mentioned leadership or the lack thereof, one of the problems we're having is that there is a very negative image of Grenada going out there. I was online this morning and into this afternoon going through some of the statements being made out there, and it's frightening. It's not they're saying it's in the boat is in St. Vincent, but the negative comments are directed towards Grenada, and there seems to be no comprehensive plan or strategy of how to address the damaging of our image out there. We're still the most beautiful and the most peaceful for now if we don't address the problems that are rumbling in the backgrounds and if we don't deal with the situation at hand. What would you suggest to the government?
So it's called crisis communication. that when there's a crisis, there are several responses that are necessary. And one such is crisis communication. That's one aspect of it. I would have thought that by now we would have a message from the Prime Minister of Grenada on this subject. I don't think there's any Grenadian at home or in the diaspora, if they're honest, that did not expect that, right? As a matter of fact, I want to take this opportunity to compliment the leader of His Majesty's opposition for addressing the nation in this past few days. In a crisis, communication is key. People want to hear from the Prime Minister, and I hope he would still find it in his heart to understand that we deserve to hear from him on this particular issue. The excuse that was given is that the Prime Minister is out of state, and maybe no excuse should have been given, in my opinion, because I've seen in my period in government, I've seen prime ministers, including our former Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, take up a position that he was not attending a heads meeting because of what was happening at home. I have had the experience witnessing firsthand that colleagues of mine would have represented the Prime Minister at various activities and events at times when he felt that there were more pressing and urgent matters to be attended to. I read the press release, and it appears that the major focus, or one of the major focus, is regional integration. Well, let me just make this point. If we are seriously talking about regional integration, then the issue of security is critical, but also the reduction of fear among your own people is also very critical, because now people are going to get very concerned about who's coming. And so they would be very closed to the very idea of regional unity. And so I believe that there must have been somebody in the cabinet who had the competence, who had the ability to represent Grenada adequately so at this meeting, allowing the Prime Minister to stay at home to address what I consider to be a crisis at home. Let us just assume that he had traveled before all of this developed. I know of Prime Ministers who left very far points in this world and traveled back home because there was a crisis at home. I also know of Prime Ministers who took the opportunity immediately, wherever they were, whichever part of the world that they were at the time, to address their citizens at home. And if you want me to share an example, I'm quite sure you recall the case of Ralph Gonzalez in recent times. And in more recent times, a couple weeks ago, I recall listening to the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis speaking from overseas, addressing citizens where there was a case as it relates to crime and violence in St. Kitts. Now, I want to just encourage us. I want to encourage us that this period that we, and this situation that we face, let us not lose hope. Let us not lose hope. Let us continue to protect the Grenadian spirit, the values that we've enjoyed, we've maintained over the years. Let us protect that. And let us do that with all our might. Let us do everything possible. And which is why I want to zero in, Sheldon, on the Royal Grenada Police Force. I want to commend all of the police officers of this country who sacrifice day and night to protect us. You know, when we are safe, when we feel safe, when everything is okay, we never think of the police in that way. that they are doing an excellent job protecting us. We think of bashing them when something goes wrong. And tonight I want to take my hats off and I want to commend the Royal Grenada Police Force for the role that they are playing as it relates to protecting the citizens of this country. I happen to be the very proud wife of a police officer, so I can speak with a degree of authority on this matter of what families go through when police officers leave their homes to go out to protect the nation. I can speak with authority on the experience of families when they're at risk and police officers are out protecting the nation. But not just policemen. You have women who are police officers, leaving their children at home, going out day and night to protect our nation. The thing that we must note in this situation is that any individual, any human being that is led, motivation is critical. So I often say, and it's a proven fact, that you're not talking leadership if you're not talking motivation. One cannot be spoken of without the other. And I am convinced that right now, police officers throughout the length and breadth of this country are demotivated. I am convinced without a fact that there's an exodus in the Royal Grenada Police Force of competent, capable police officers who are frustrated, who feel that they've had enough and they cannot go anymore, and they are just leaving. As a matter of fact, it concerns me that more is not being done to encourage these officers to remain. Now, one might wonder, well, what's the significance of this? Well, let us note also that most of these people who are leaving are officers who are specialized, officers who are experienced, and officers who have been serving for many, many years. In essence, what we are experiencing now, and which is why I would recommend very highly that a situational analysis be done on the Royal Grenada Police Force with urgency. I'm talking about the rank and file of the police force to figure out what exactly is happening there, even if we already know. Document it and let us find solutions to it. So if you are taking, or let me deal with this part first, if many of our officers with great experience, competence, loyalty, commitment, hardworking police officers are moving out of the force, then what you're going to be faced with is a situation that's going to confront you when it comes to manpower distribution. So maybe we might want to investigate what were the ranks of the police officers who were on duty the night that the 3 persons escaped from South St. George Police Station. We may want to travel around the island to various police stations and do a count of how many senior officers do we have? How many experienced officers do we have? And whether or not what we have matches the situation on the ground and the need to respond. And you see, these are the things we expect that the leadership of this country would be focusing on. Now, I listened to the press conference a couple days ago. I felt sorry for the Commissioner of Police, but I don't know that I can blame the Commissioner of Police. I feel sorry for him and I just can't blame him. Because the Commissioner of Police acts on the authority, the advice, the instructions of the Minister for National Security. There is no fact outside of that. There is political directives given, and those policy directives given, whoever communicates them, this is what the police force is guided on. As a matter of fact, it is not a secret. I believe the whole world knows that Police officers are claiming this all over the island. So anybody who doesn't know that either don't care or they just don't want to know. You go around the island and listen to police officers. People with specialization. And I'll just give an example. You have an officer working for 20 plus years, and let me say this, I'm not talking about my husband here, working for 20 plus years in a specialized area, gets a phone call, and within hours is moved to an area that doesn't require any specialization. And let me probably be a little more specific here to say that this area from which that officer was moved is an area that is directly related to solving crimes. Now, I have to conclude that something has to be wrong. And an officer doesn't just wake up one morning and feels victimized. When an officer is moved from here to there, and doesn't mean that that is not okay. It's okay to move an officer from here to there. But when one is convinced that it has to do with their perceived political affiliation, that there is a different matter. That is a different matter. And I'm saying that we have a crisis. If we don't do something urgently, we are going to have a bigger crisis on our hands to deal with. Because the exodus of police officers, if the only solution we have is to take people off the street, train them for 3 weeks, and then put them to solve crime, put them to walk the street, then something is fundamentally wrong with the leadership of this country. And I want to say this. Maybe, just maybe, it might be high time for somebody to come up with a crazy idea like, why not offer a special contract to police officers who got frustrated and left and just may want to come back to help out the current situation? I'm appealing to those who have the power to make a difference, to urgently conduct a situational analysis on the Royal Grenada Police Force. We are seeing things that says to us that there is a crisis. And if enough is not done urgently to address it, Sheldon, then we are going to continue down that slippery slope that we are on. And I'm telling you, there are people who characterize conversations like this as political. Well, you know when it would not be considered political? When somebody's daughter, somebody's son become the victim. When somebody's wife or somebody's husband becomes the victim. When somebody's mother or father becomes the victim, then it might not be seen as political. What I'm saying tonight is coming from a heart of concern for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Even, I'm going to make it even personal, for my own children, their safety, for my safety. And if there's any Grenadian who said that they never thought about their safety in the last week, then you're being political and you're being dishonest and you're being unfair. If you just don't care about safety right now, then something is either wrong with you or you don't care or you're being dishonest. Every citizen of this country should be concerned about what is happening. And I'm saying, let us do something about it. Recently on another program, when I spoke about crime and statistics, somebody called in and they were trying to analyze how many more deaths we have now or murders we have now compared to when. I'm just not interested in that conversation. The conversation I'm interested in is what's happening right now and what we're going to do to reverse or to fix what is happening right now. So getting all technical about what the statistics is, how we compare, even I've heard the arguments of what equipment could have been purchased under NMP time and what, I'm firmly of the view. Motivate the Royal Grenada Police Force, put systems in place, and I don't know if any automatic fingerprint machine is going to be needed, right? And while I'm on that, Sheldon, I feel like I've taken over the program. I'm sorry.
No, that's no problem, you know. Speak.
No, I feel really
The program
passionate
is yours.
about this.
So I want you to take it over. Go right ahead.
I feel very passionate about this subject, fortunately or unfortunately. You know, I listened to commissioners speak about, and he just stopped short 1 second of making a political statement. And I had no intention of referring to the commissioner of police and anything that he said or did not say, quite honestly. That was my intention when I started speaking. But I'll just speak about one thing, because the problem is not the commissioner of police. I'll tell you this. The problem is beyond the commissioner of police. The problem is where he gets his instructions from, the quality of the advice, the quality of the instructions that he gets, the content of it. But I just want to deal with one statement.
So
that
are you saying it's above his pay grade? It's that is above his pay grade, his competency? I'm just asking.
I don't want to go there, but maybe the commissioner is just being honest. If those things are decided above him and above him, guess what? There's only one place above him, the Minister of National Security. So it's above his pay grade and it's above his competence. That's what I concluded, and I have a right to conclude what I think I want to conclude from what he said. That is what I concluded from what he said. So maybe one day he'll explain more what he meant by that. But I want to just speak to one issue, one comment that the commissioner made. He was actually speaking about the automatic fingerprint machine. And I have to conclude that the commissioner attempted to make a political statement. Go back and listen to what he said. He was very selective of his words when he realized that he was about to make a very strong political statement. But he literally gave the impression, well, not gave the impression, he said that we were going to be getting this machine, fingerprint machine, and it's now going to be the first time that we're going to be having this fingerprint machine, automatic fingerprint machine. And when I listened to him, it almost sounded like that's going to be the mighty solution to a crime situation in this country. Guess what? It's going to be all solved once we have this machine. Well, let me just make this point. This machine that is being referred to by the Commissioner of Police, do you know we had one before? Do you know it's not going to be the first time that Grenada is going to be having an automatic fingerprint machine? And let me also make the point. That this may increase efficiency, but I know for a fact that this is not going to be the solution to a crime situation in this country. And what we need to be looking at is some more strategic approaches to addressing the problem that we face. So an automatic fingerprint machine is not a strategic move that is going to seriously put a dent into this situation. And so I would think that at this time, there would be some special committee established that is going to be taking a very strategic approach to addressing the situation now. And I'm going back to what I said before, proactively and reactively. The other thing I want to make mention of is that quite often when the subject is raised and people misinterpret why you speak, reference is also being made to there are other reasons for the problems we face, and this didn't happen just after the national election. Well, once you go there, you start becoming political, right? But let me say this, I totally 100% agree that there are several factors that are contributing to the current situation. One of them, which was pointed out quite some months ago by a senior officer of the Royal Grenada Police Force, the connection between crime and social issues, particularly unemployment, right? It was actually said by Officer Cohen of the Royal Grenada Police Force. In other words, the police has a role to play, but he referred to leadership of the country again and the important role that has to be played in creating that environment that would help to reduce the crime situation in the country. So if people are losing their jobs, if you choose to implement minimum wage at a time when you do very little to stimulate the economy, then we're going to continue to have problems. And I want to stick a pin there to say that I totally, absolutely endorse an increase in the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, it should even be more. But while that is being done, there has to be another group besides the minimum wage committee that is at work trying to find ways to stimulate the economy so that employers will not have to send workers at home to be able to afford the minimum wage. There ought to be another committee at work to look at what is the connection, what is the correlation between increasing the minimum wage and inflation. All of those things have to work together. And so that is what I'm saying. The concentration, the focus of some people in leadership position might just be misdirected at this time. And what is supposed to be a priority might just not be a priority for the people who lead at this time, which could now have the kind of implications that we face and the kind of effects that we are experiencing right now. I want to just encourage those who lead us, right? I want to, and as I said this, I'm smiling because nobody is leading you if you're not following, right? You could only be leading us if we are following you. And right now, I believe many people find it very difficult to follow because they are not sure where they are going. Leadership requires a clear vision of where we are going. And that vision is what is going to motivate those who are following. I encourage this current administration, engage stakeholders, bring people together. And even before you do that, accept that there's a crisis, there's a problem, and that you have the political will to address it. And I just want to encourage the officers of the Royal Grenada Police Force tonight. I'm not the Minister for National Security, but I want to say to you, we appreciate you. We need you. And you are very important as we go to sleep tonight. It is very important for you to continue to keep watch over this nation. Do not give up on us. Do not lose faith in us. We need you, and you probably don't even understand how much we need you. Sheldon, I am very sorry. I could allow you.
It's no problem at all. Let me ask a question here, though. I'm not taking the conversation a different direction, but let me ask a question. I know on at least 2 to 3 occasions that as Minister of Youth, as the person with responsibility for youth, you have dealt with upsurge in youth crime in relation to, I remember there was the situation with the Grandans versus Tong. There were some situations in the countryside and different things like that. Have you ever been approached at any level by any member of this administration for advice or a little direction, a little assistance in dealing with the present situation? I'll use an example here. There's a particular part in the south of the island that I was visiting over the Christmas period into the New Year. And every third or fourth person that passed missing the hand. For some reason, there's some sort of violence taking place there, that guys losing their hand one after the other. So you had the one pass, he missing your hand, the next one come up the hill, missing your hand, that sort of thing in the south of the island. So there is a problem. Something is taking place that needs to be addressed. Have you been approached, even if it's by a sitting MP on the government side? Have you been approached at any level? And if you are approached, if you haven't been approached, if you are approached, and I know the answer already, but asking it on air, are you willing to help?
Sheldon, I've said this on almost any program that I've been on, and I'm going to say it tonight. I feel very passionate about this subject. I am very passionate about this subject. I am available. I am willing to offer any kind of support, anything at all that I can do beyond what I'm already doing. I am prepared. I'm prepared to offer service to Grenada. And let me just make this point. I'm not looking for a job, right? Because when you say these things, there are certain people who interpret it to mean that you're begging the government for a work. No, this is not a request for a job. This is a request that I heard Brother Nimrod this morning said the same thing. So if you have a problem, okay, let me put it this way. No.
Go right ahead.
It's very unfortunate sometimes when you speak how people interpret what you say. And I remember Brother Nimrod this morning on To the Point making the same point. We are willing to help for free. Let me put it this way. We are willing to help for free. So you want to have a think tank, you want to have a consultation, you want a group of persons to go speak to young people somewhere. We're going to make ourselves available. So whether it's at the strategic level or otherwise, we are prepared because this thing is bigger than NNP and NDC. And let us please understand that this is not about party politics. Because when somebody pulls out a gun and fires it, there's no color that this bullet sees. And that is why this thing is so serious. So people who are out there defending the government and think I should shut my mouth right now. I want to say this, bullets don't know colors. They are not artificially intelligent enough to know colors, right? They haven't reached that stage. So maybe at some point, who knows, bullets would be designed to know this is a NNP, this is a NDC. And at this stage, they don't know colors. So let us dump the politics and let us deal with the real issues. And if we don't identify the issues, if we don't speak about the issues, then how will they be addressed? So if I don't raise the things that I'm raising now, maybe the Prime Minister is not aware. Somebody hopefully is recording it right now and will share with him the pertinent points that I made. Those that are not, you don't have to send those to him. Maybe he's just very busy. Maybe because he's out, he's not following what's happening here. If you're recording, share with him. We are willing, the political leader of our party has said this. On this issue, he is willing to give whatever support is necessary, whatever advice. This man has led this country for over 20 years, 23 years, right? And so if you tell me that his opinion doesn't count, he doesn't have any advice that he can share, then it tells me that you don't understand leadership. Because even if you're just going on the subject of experience, his experience alone can teach a lesson. But as I'm saying this, I remember attending a graduation where a member of this current administration spoke. And the very first line of that speech, I still remember it today. The first line of that speech says, "Some people say that experience is the greatest teacher. I beg to differ." That was the opening statement of a current minister of this administration. I want to share differently tonight. Experience is extremely important. And you know what? If the current government would make use of the experience of those who have served, they're going to look better. And I think they missed that opportunity. They're going to look much better. They're going to do much better. And if they feel that they can do it all by themselves on their own and they don't need experienced people, well, ants might live long enough to bring the news.
Indeed. And folks, we're speaking with the Honorable Eminent Peer here, and it's 20 past 9. I did tell her keeping off our hour, but I don't keep them promises. So you'll have to stay a little longer than that. But Honorable Eminent Peer, on the issue that you just raised, it's important because I see a lot of people, for instance, when Dr. Mitchell was on the news last night and so on, and you see the negative comments coming from people, but you have to ask yourself, what are they contributing to the discussion? Are they willing to come out on the blocks and speak with the young men? And again, one of the things that I picked up, working along with you in relation to this before, is the importance of not having a forum and expecting these young men to come. They live in the block and come. You have to go to them. And I remember you sitting in a particular place in town and they having to put 2 or 3 chairs because at the time you were pregnant. And the guys never forgot that even in that state, you were willing to come and sit and talk with them and listen to them. And I think those are lessons that the present administration could learn from, because one, you're not hearing from them. You're not hearing of a plan or a strategy, similar to what you had with like Project Fly and Project Reach and all these things that the last administration had in place to address these issues. Even I remember one of these young men that was part of a gang. He was in the Grenada. He's in the UK military right now and doing pretty well. In fact, I think he got additional rank sometime during last year. He got an additional rank. And this was somebody people may have written off as a gangster. But he has an extra rank now.
We would need a whole program if you want to start talking about success stories, right? And those success stories, whether you speak about as far back as 2003 or as recent as our last term in office under the leadership of Honorable Kate Lewis, prior to that, Honorable Pamela Moses, and I believe there might have been another minister
Honorable Nolan Cox.
Honorable Nolan Cox. So we can speak as recent as that. We can go all the way back. And I'm saying we would need several programs to speak about the success stories, right? Young people who are in conflict with the law, young people who behave in particular ways, they're not just doing that for fun, you know. They're not just doing this to show off. There are reasons, there are actual reasons. And as you said, you have to find a strategy that matches the situation. So when young people were attacked for not attending a particular activity where the turnout was very poor, right there and then in my mind, I said, oh Lord, this is just a situation where somebody doesn't understand that approach doesn't match the target group, right? So a couple of weeks ago, just to give you an example, I passed on a particular block in my constituency, and there was a young man. And when you spoke about people who lost a limb, he lost his hand out of violence as well some time ago. And as I got to him, he started to smile. I knew why he was smiling. So I said to him, you know, it's a long, long time you promised you were coming to church with me. And he put on his head and he started to blush, right? Now, that guy said to me, I'm promising you on Sunday, I'm coming to church with you. On Sunday morning, and I want to be very honest and very open here. On Sunday morning, it slipped my mind that I promised him I was going to pick him up. It did slip my mind. Before I could have been ready for church, he called me on the phone to say to me that he was out waiting for me to pick him up. I'm using that simple example just to say that young people, they're just looking for love. They're looking for people who understand them. They're looking for people who demonstrate their care, right? So it is one thing to say you have empathy. It's one thing to say you empathize with young people. Well, that could well be cognitive empathy, where you just know about it. It's registered in your mind that they have a situation, they have a problem, they have issues. But unless you shift that empathy into compassion and you are prepared to do something about their situation, then empathy makes no sense. So if you inherit a situation where young men on the block are part of a program, and let us use Empower as an example, and they are benefiting from this program, their lives are being changed and improved from that program, right? And you get into office and you empathize with them cognitively. So you know they have issues. You know they need a program, but you are not prepared to do something. So compassionate empathy does not play out. And so what you do is you remove them from the program, you cut the program, you end the program. I'm saying tonight, it's not enough to say that you care about young people, because cognitive empathy could force you to say that because you know their situation, you're prepared to abuse them because you know their situation, you want their support, you want their vote, and you're prepared to say you love them, you care about them. But what is needed in that situation to their benefit? So you have benefited, they voted for you. Cognitive empathy. You're aware of their situation. You know their situation. But what is needed is compassionate empathy that would move you to be aware of their situation to the point that you feel their pain and now you want to do something to solve their problem, to help change. Listen, when I go around my constituency right now, I get very depressed about the number of young men that I see not engaged. And you know why? Because in a very recent period, if I take the same journey, very few young men I would find during those times. And I'm saying this to say that we cannot in one breath say we care about young people and then deny them of the opportunity, deny them of the access, deny them of the enabling conditions that could make their lives better. Did we make their lives perfect? No. Did we do everything that every young person would want us to do? No. But if you ask the question and want a truthful answer, what we did and what is being done now is chalk and cheese. It is painful to see how the changes of policy under this administration is affecting our young people. Let us not go into the conversation of the $500. Let us not go into the conversation of the permanent jobs that were promised. Let us not go into the conversation of the programs that have been cut. Let us not go into the conversation of the change in language that is spoken to our young people now. And so I am appealing to the administration. If you seriously want to address the issue of crime, gun violence, there are a number of strategic moves that you have to make. And one of those moves, it's like playing draft. One of those moves that you have to make is addressing the issues that affect the young people, not with window dressing, not with frills. I'm talking about seriously addressing. And that has to start with having the right people in the right position. Square pegs in wrong hole is only going to make the situation better. So whether square pegs in wrong hole in the police force, square peg in wrong hole in the Ministry of Youth, square peg in wrong hole in the ministries of whatever that has a direct relationship to youth and crime and the violence situation in this country, then it would not improve. So let us not attack messengers. Let us listen to what people are saying. Put aside our colors and look to see what in what they are saying makes sense that we can actually implement for the better of all citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, regardless of which political party that they support.
So you're willing to help, and you've always been willing to. In fact, I remember after the loss of the New National Party at the 2008 general election, that one of the first things that you did is that you offered your help, again free of cost, to the then administration for assistance in any youth-related matters. They did not make use of it, but I know many other islands made good use of it. They asked for a little assistance. How can they do this? How can they do that? And so on. And I assume many other islands are asking for that assistance again right now. So I do hope that the government listens and that they do. It is coming from a real place, not a fake place, not a political place. It's coming from a real place. What you're hearing the Honorable Emlyn Pear saying here tonight. She's offering her assistance, and it's not offering with conditions. It's offering for the benefit of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and everybody that here now, and everybody that will come in the future. So, in addition to what we heard from our good friend Nimrod Oliver this morning, and yourself, I'm offering myself as well, a helping. Whichever area they want the help in, I'm willing to help, to work along with the youth of Grenada and so on in relation to this issue.
And on that subject of help, let me say this. A lot of people are doing things in their own private ways. I'm not going to detail here some of the initiatives that I have undertaken and have been undertaking for many years, right? Brother Nimrod this morning spoke about some of the things he's also doing in his private capacity, right? So people are doing. I want to appeal to every person. Whatever you're doing, let's try to do a little more as far as is possible. You know something I said to my husband this evening, because it's been burdening me over the past few days, what the families of police officers are going through. The police force, and you don't have to do no mathematical calculation to conclude this. The police force must be under serious pressure right now. And common sense could conclude that. One, a large number of police officers have left. The police is not able to fill those gaps and may not be able to fill those gaps for a number of years. Now, common sense would also say that replacing them doesn't fill the gap. Let's get that right. You take a 3-week-old trained police officer and try to replace an officer who has been working in the police force, had the experience of about 30 years, 20 years, 28 years. So let's be careful the term we use to describe this. I'm not sure how to define it. Let's not define it. Let's not even try to define this, right? Let's not try to define it. But I've been really burdened because obviously, if you have deployment issues, it's an indication that you're stressed. You're stretched, right? And as I said, you don't need mathematical analysis for this. You've lost quite a number of people. So you know what's happening? Those who remain, those faithful servants who remain, they are under pressure. Do we understand this? They are under pressure. This morning, one caller shared an experience. A police officer on duty, more than 24 hours, and is begging for breakfast. The caller was on To the Point this morning, right? And what was the final message? There's no more breakfast. So this is a hungry man. And normally we say a hungry man is an angry man. A hungry man who is expected to protect you and protect me. A hungry man, a tired man, right? And so I am saying that we have to do something, not just about that situation, but think about the pressure of families, which is why I said to my husband this afternoon, I am taking the initiative. And any person out there who is listening to me right now, that is the wife of a police officer, find a way to contact me, maybe on Facebook somehow. I am taking the responsibility. Police Wives Association. Because I know what I had to go through as the wife of a police officer in crisis, in Ivan, in Emily. And when there are serious issues that were confronting our nation, in this time, let us be of support. Let us be of support to the police officers out there, their families, their wives, their children. Be compassionate when you see their children, because their children are under stress too. I'm speaking as the wife and mother, right? Their children under stress too. They'll see daddy for a whole weekend. They'll see daddy for 4 days. And after the 4 days, daddy say he can't come home because they don't have officers to cover in the police station. This issue is deep, and I really wish that somebody is going to communicate to the decision makers that there are serious issues that we need to be concerned about. So the drone show is over. The drone show is over. All of the lights and the glitters and the gala and all of those things, they're over. Someone always referred to a calypso that says, when the carnival is over. Well, after all of this, there are real issues that need to be addressed. And let us settle down as a nation and address them, removing the colors. Removing the colors.
Yes, indeed. Folks, and we're speaking with the Honorable Emlyn Pear, who will be with us for about the next 10 minutes. Honorable Emlyn Pear, you think you could make the next 10? Let me ask you a question.
Oh, you need me.
let me ask a serious question here, though it may sound a bit comical in a sense. I was listening to the Honorable Member of Parliament for St. George Northeast recently. And he was saying, when referring to his studies, he was saying that he doesn't know of anybody that has been able to handle their ministry and so on and still study. I thought that you did that. How were you able to do that? Because now you're looking to go and form Police Wives Association, and the husbands will have a word about that, but the Police Wives Association, and while you're doing that, you also have the church, you have the constituency, you have the family, you have other organizations that you're involved in. How come you were able to do all of that and be working on a doctorate?
You know, my response to that is that every person, inclusive of the Honorable MP for St. George's Northeast, have an entitlement to an opinion. I'm very tolerant when it comes to people's opinion. So if he feels that it cannot be done, you cannot do a master's while you're on the job, and you cannot, I just have to put this down to his opinion, Let me say this, Sheldon. There are so many, and I'm not even going to just speak about myself. There are so many people I know. This is like a norm. It is like a norm that you work and study. And it's called, as simple as it is, priority, organizing, setting up a study plan, putting systems in place to address certain things, and leading in a way that you are able to delegate, you are able to support, you are able to guide where necessary, and you are able to do when is necessary. So I always say my style of leadership, I try as best as possible to do the things which I need to do and which I have to do. So if you're trying to do everything that every other person could do and is already empowered to do, then you'll never have time to do the important things, right? And so in leadership, you want to empower those people who follow, that they would be able to do things, right, that gives you the time to focus on more strategic things. So in other words, you should not be getting involved in all of the little mundane, everyday thing in the ministry, right, that your officers are empowered or can be empowered to do. So your role is one that is strategic. So reference was made about, reading the conclusion and the submissions, and I mean, come on.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh. Sorry.
Let's just get serious for a moment, right? For a moment, at least.
Oh, man.
Right? I'm just saying, I don't know what are the real reasons that the MP has decided that he is going to focus on his studies. I've heard several explanations given. Some of them sound plausible, some of them sound like I'm about to believe them, right? But come on, don't speak to us as if you think we are fools, right? That's all I'm going to ask. Whatever the reason, I'm not interested in discussing the reason. I'm not interested in discussing what has happened. I'm not discussing what caused the Prime Minister to say what he said at the press conference. I don't want to discuss that. That's your business, the Prime Minister's business, the government business. I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying when you give an explanation, don't try to sound as if we are all fools, because this makes absolutely no sense to me.
Of course. And folks, we just about nearly out. I know you all really wanted to hear much more from Honorable Emlyn Pear tonight, but we're going to have her back sometime soon, because we didn't touch on education, the Ministry of Education, the last ministry you were in. We didn't touch on that ministry tonight, and that's a night for itself. That's a night for itself. I think we needed to deal with the issue of what is taking place with the crime situation, with the possibility of even worse, because I don't know if you've been hearing some of what I have been hearing about what's going on in the schools, and some of the schools that you may never think that these things are taking place in. What has been going on there with the little gangs, the 6 and the 7, and who is this and who is that, and that sort of thing. I don't know if you've been hearing what I've been hearing that's taking place in the schools with that. And what has been taking place out there. There are some elders in the community who are guiding some of these behaviors and involving themselves in some of these behaviors as well. So I thought it was very important that we focus on that particular issue tonight. But we'd like to have you back very soon to speak on education. And there's some discussions we have to have about the TAMCC as well. Because there's some things I'm hearing about the TAMCC of late I really don't want to believe. But we'll have to have some discussions in relation to that, the school feeding program, and all these things very soon.
I'm at your pleasure.
let me just give you the opportunity now, because I know the time is getting close. Let me give you the opportunity to make your closing statement.
Okay. So I will just end by saying this, and I want to start there again. I want to say my heart goes out to the families who have been affected by recent activities in our country, and particularly those who are not Grenadians. I really want to stress this point, because I don't want people to be of the impression that this is a representation of who we are. We are not that. We are peaceful, loving people. And I believe most Grenadians fit into that definition. There might be one or two persons, like in every place in the world, right? Some places is far more than one or two, but just like every other place, where you might have those little pockets, of disturbances and people who probably don't think logically before they make a decision. Quite obviously, this last incident that we've heard about is just evidence that somebody or bodies were not thinking logically and making the right decision, and as a result have created this disturbance and embarrassment for our country, and pain for families who are hurting at this time. And I have to say this, to the family, we are really sorry, for what you are going through, and we feel your pain, and know that every Grenadian ought to be feeling that way, because that's the people we are, right? So just in case somebody related to the family, connected to the families, are listening, we just want to say this: we are hurt that you are hurting, right? Second thing I want to say, Sheldon, is that we are obviously facing a crisis of leadership, a crisis as it relates to national security. And all of the signs are there to confirm this. I'm not interested in when the crisis starts. I'm not interested who started the crisis, what should have been done, what could have been done. What I'm interested in what can we do now to reverse this situation, even if it's things that could have been done in the last 6 months, 12 months, 12 and a half months. I'm not even going back there. because I can come up with a long list of things that could have caused this situation to turn out differently if they were done 2 days before, 1 month before, a few hours before. So I'm not interested in that conversation. What I'm interested in, what is our immediate response to this situation? What are those strategic moves that we are going to make to ensure that these things do not happen again, those that we can avoid? And what systems are we putting in place to ensure that this situation takes a turn for the better? And I'm talking about in the broadest sense of the word. So there are important things to discuss. And I'm praying and hoping that this is not a situation, and I'm really honestly praying, Sheldon, that we're not in a situation where, because certain people say the Prime Minister should make a statement, the decision is we're not making a statement. That because certain people say, let us have a national consultation, let us bring stakeholders together, that because of who say it, the decision is no, we're not doing it. I'm begging, I'm pleading that we put aside political differences and decide on what are those things that are important to do right now. We've lost a lot of days, a lot of hours. It's never too late once there is life. Let us take some immediate steps. And as I said, others have said, the political leader of our party has said it quite some many months ago, right? Others have said it also, and I'm joining with them tonight to say, as a political party, the new National Party that has had several years of experience in governing this country, in dealing with crisis situation, many of those, including crisis of crime, we are saying we stand ready to help. Call on us, we stand ready to help. While we wait for your call, we will be doing those things that we can do in our individual capacity. And we stand ready to respond to your call for help.
All right, folks, and Honorable Emlyn Pay, I'd like to thank you for being here with us tonight. Anytime I call on Honorable Emlyn Pay, well, you know, once I call on one of the MPs, they're always here. And even some people who are not MPs, the team is always here to speak to the Grenadian people, and especially on an important issue such as this is. Honorable Emlyn Pay, we want you to have a wonderful night. We know you've had a long day. You haven't even gotten home yet. Folks may think that who just joined may think she's home. She's not home, and she had to stop on the way home to join us on the program tonight, which is why we're not going straight up to 10 o'clock. Oh gosh, let me let Honorable Emlyn Pay get home. So you have a wonderful night tonight, ma'am, and do enjoy the rest of your week this week.
Good night to all of your listeners and your viewers. May God bless all of you.
And Dion and Dixian will kill me if I don't say a special good night on their behalf to you. Both Dion and Dixian, you know that. All right.
And give them all my love. All my love.
Have a wonderful one.
Good night. God bless you.
All right. Folks, we have been speaking with the Honorable Emlyn Pay, and quite an extensive discussion in relation to the issue of how you can get involved. Yeah, and listen, I hope that you all understand. This is not just a discussion for the Honorable Emlyn Pay to get involved. Each and every one of us, whether you're the bus driver, because you're on the bus and the young people are coming on and coming off from your vehicle, you have the opportunity to engage them. You have the opportunity to leave positive messages with them. You have the possibility to see that something is going wrong. A young man or a young lady that you know always coming jovial, and all of a sudden you realize they're not as jovial as they usually are. You have the opportunity to interact with that young person. Yeah? Whether you're the church leaders and you realize this young person who used to come with their mother or their father or their grandparent or their uncle or so no longer comes. Or they've come for the first time and you engage them. Yeah? The teachers, I can't say enough about the teachers. The teachers have been trying their very best. Let me shout out the teachers. Yeah? The teachers have been trying their very, it ain't easy what some of them have to go through on a daily basis. There are a lot of things that take place that you don't hear out there that take place at some of the schools there. Yeah, just to protect the name of some schools sometimes. So there are a lot of things that go on there. So we must shout out the teachers. They have been trying their very best, but they need the help. So as parents, as family members, bigger brothers, uncles, aunts, whatever, we all need to play our part. Yeah? Look, somebody as simple as Cammy, you may think she's simple, but Cammy does a lot just being there in the terminal. I have personally seen it. Whether it's taking youngsters and putting them on the bus, and I'm seeing youngsters passing now. Some of them out of uniform because they've completed. I've seen youngsters who I know years now pass by. Afternoon, Miss Cammy. And they come. Sometimes they come for the local change because they didn't have the change to take. Some of them just spend the money and buy snacks, but they're passing by Auntie Cammy for the local change to go and jump the bus to go home and so. And sometimes she leave, even in all the pain, to go and put them on a bus. Yeah? Sometimes, and she always speaking to them. The little girls, careful. I see you there in a corner, and we do there in that your mother and father working hard. And I'm using Cammy as an example because if Cammy can do it in all the pain that she goes through 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in all the pain that she goes through, she can put herself into the position to try and help. What about the rest of us? All of us can help. The shopkeepers in the village, wherever you are, whoever you are, you can be part of the solution. You could speak with the young one. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Sometimes that's all they want, Sometimes all they want is somebody to speak with them. Yeah? Not to them, They want somebody to speak with them. It's not just blah, 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 blah. And then you say, well, yeah, I went and I talked to him. No. You have to sit down and listen to. Sometimes you might have to listen and just let them talk for a whole half hour or more. Let them talk too. Listen. You understand a lot. Look, I'll use one example before I run off because I must run off as well. I remember going to a particular community years ago. At the point in time, the New National Party was in opposition. We were not in government at that point in time, but bad habits. You're going and hit blocks, different place and lime and talk with guys and understand what's going on. And I remember going to this particular block where some guys were cooking a pot. And they always cooking pots and so in that particular zone. And you know what the guys told me? They say some people look down at them and say, well, okay, they're asking for $5 here, $2 there. And then the main guy explained to me. He said, listen, when that guy bring $2 and that one bring $5, and another fella, small as it is, he might bring $1, they don't have food in their home to eat, or where they're staying, sometimes they don't have food. But when we put that money together and we cook a pot, everybody gets something to eat. But some people look at it as, oh, they're begging. And they're asking for this or they're asking for that. Say sometimes the guys go in, they're looking for a job they can't get. But when they get a $5 or they get a $2 and they come with it and we put that together, we could buy some flour, we could buy some chicken, we could make a waters, we could do different things. So at least everybody is able to eat something. Yeah? But others who looking from the outside see it as just a bunch of rascals and they cooking food and liming whole day and troubling people. That was not the case. So sometimes you need to sit and listen, not just talk to them. All right? Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you who have joined us tonight and invite you to join us tomorrow night from 8 p.m. for more Talking Points. I have some clips to play and thing. From 8 p.m. tomorrow night with Talking Points again. We would once again like to thank the Honorable Emlyn Pear for being here with us tonight and for always being there. Always being here with us tonight, but always being there for the young people and the people in general of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Folks, that's all the time we have. In whatever you say, whatever you do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you and definitely not about you. My name is Sheldon Scott. I am out.
Endorsing the Honorable Emlyn Pear for the Southeast constituency. This lady, she's like a mother to we. Yes, this lady carries nothing but royalty. Yes, this lady, I am sure that she got her back. And if you don't believe me, then sit down and listen to facts. Honorable Olympia, we know you have done your best. All when times get rough, with others putting you to the test. Sometimes you took it up on your own, trying to make everyone feel at home. Sending young girls back to school, education the master tool. So in classes and other programs, prepare for the future which is to come. So once again with royalty, Honorable Emlyn, well done. Cause this lady, she's like a mother to we. Yes, this lady, she carries nothing but royalty. Yes, this lady, I am sure that she got her backs. And if you don't believe me, then sit down and listen few facts. You can see her in the communities, mixing and having fun, playing with the children, skipping rope and bouncing ball, visiting children in the school, meeting farmers out on their farms, helping mothers with the seed program. Every child get the chance to learn. And if you have a little problem, I am sure Miss Fair you can tell. But she is like a lawyer, counselor and mother as well. Now take these things to consideration, and you will see what we mean when I say Honorable Emlyn Pierre, she is a royal queen. Cause this lady, she's like a mother to we. Yes, this lady carries nothing but royalty. Yes, this lady, I am sure that she got her back. And if you don't believe me, then sit down and listen few facts. Now still I've got some more I can tell, cause she loved the elderly as well. And I know from them she'll never part, they're the closest thing to her heart. Always willing to listen to people, oh yeah, she got a listening ear. That's why we can boast today and say we know that she really